YouTube, it's of course Leviathan Prophecy, and I'm back at it with another reaction video. This time I'm gonna be reacting to the New Jersey / Brooklyn Nets timeline, and to be honest with you, man, the Brooklyn Nets history isn't on the Brooklyn Nets side when it comes to playoffs. You know, when they merged, when they first got into the NBA, it was called the ABA. You know what I'm saying? And then after that, you know, they established themselves around 1997. And then after that, they just wasn't good. You know, they wasn't good for a long stretch. So today we're gonna see what went wrong and see how many, you know, dysfunctional decisions that they made throughout the years. So like, comment, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and let's get it.
Johnson are on the court to close the game for you. You don't know who's going to hurt you. You talk about championships. The Brooklyn Nets are officially in the conversation. New Jersey Nets may not be the worst team in the history of the NBA, but they're coming pretty darn close.
At a recent game, any attendee over 18 who showed up could get their state income taxes done for free. You had to go to the game, though.
The richest man in Russia announced he's going to buy 80% of the New Jersey Nets. Mikhail Prokhorov would become the NBA's first non-North American owner. People seem to think that this infusion of cash would allow the team to move to Brooklyn. Now we would call them the New Jersey Nets.
Expect us to be in the playoffs next season and championship in 1 year minimum.
And that's the worst thing. When you have an owner that don't know dilly shit about basketball. I mean, not even that. When you have a Russian owner who don't know dilly scrap, who don't know dilly shit about basketball, that makes your franchise and your team even worse. You know, so I mean, I mean, say what you want about James Dolan, but at least James Dolan know how to put butts in seats. You know what I'm saying? Like, you heard what they said. You know, the Nets had the lowest attendance record when they was in New Jersey. That says something. The Knicks had never had to face that. The Garden was always packed. You know, where they were losing, had a bad record, that Garden was always packed. Making bad decisions. Avery Bradley and Billy King. Billy King is a horrible GM. And Avery Bradley is a horrible head coach. And then that famous 2010 that they swore they was going to get LeBron James when he wanted to get out of Cleveland. That didn't even go well. And then they selected Gerald Wallace. Tell you, boy, history repeats itself, man.
With the third pick in the 2010 NBA draft, the New Jersey Nets select Derek Favors of Georgia Tech.
And I'm not doing this because I hate the Nets. I really do. I'm just doing this because I despise them, you know, because I am a Knicks fan, and, you know, it's always been in Knicks Town City, but, you know, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love competition. There is nothing better than competition. You know what I'm saying? Like, big brother versus little brother. We all know who runs New York, so there's not a notion that now they got all these stars, they automatically gonna win a championship. It doesn't work that way. And a lot of people who don't watch sports or who not interested in sports will just say, "Oh, so the team with the most stacked players are gonna win." Did LeBron James win his first title? No, it took him his second title to win. It took him his second year to win, or not his second year, but it took his second go around when he was with Miami Heat to win a championship. So if the Brooklyn Nets wind up losing in the semifinals or second round, don't be surprised because they can always do it again next year. And if they don't get it next year, then they can always do it again the next year after that. So, it is what it is. And plus, Blake Griffin only signed a 1-year deal. So if this doesn't work out, he can always opt out or he can always find somewhere else to go. You know what I'm saying? So nothing's guaranteed in the NBA.
Everything up. Brookhoff wants to get to the playoffs this year, and he says he can win a title in 5. Yikes! Ooh! I mean, deep breath. One step at a time. We reported earlier that you did.
And then they wanted to get Melo because obviously Melo wanted to get out of Denver, but he wound up going to the Knicks instead.
They have not gotten him or his representative that he will sign a long-term deal.
Just bad decisions, man. They gave up future draft picks that came out to be stars that we all know today.
Carmelo Anthony, Billy King started looking for other deals. They want him to be the superstar they build around when they go to Brooklyn, and he's also arguably the best point guard in the league. Guys know he makes.
And then that's when they went. To go after Darren Williams, who they signed with a ridiculous amount of money, like 5 years. I don't know how much money that they paid him, but I knew it was over 5 years.
This team moves to Brooklyn. Big move last year getting Darren Williams. Keeping him is going to be another story. He has to figure out a way to sit down with Billy King.
And then they paired him up with Joe Johnson, and that didn't work. So it was just a failure, man. It was just a huge failure. And then they wanted to get Dwight Howard as well. But obviously, that didn't work. So the Nets struck out a lot in free agency. And look at that 2012 first round pick that they traded turned out to be Damian Lillard.
And try to convince Darren Williams to stick around? I don't think that's going to be enough, though. Reminiscent till back in 2010 when all those free agents were signing and stuff like that, and they were left with who? Today, the Nets are arguably one of the worst teams in the league at 22 and 43, with most of the regulars not even in the lineup for the Jersey Swan Song. But the final Nets game in New Jersey ends as so many others before it, with another loss. They're off to Brooklyn now, and while some fans here may remember them fondly,
And they even sucked in Brooklyn too.
wasn't Dwight Howard or Darren Williams, but it did involve the Brooklyn Nets. According to reports, they traded
Giving away draft picks, giving away.
Joe Johnson.
It's not even the players; it's just the draft picks that hurted them.
The acquisition of Johnson will
Cause that 2013, that 2017.
Darren Williams is staying with the Brooklyn Nets. Does this surprise you in any way? Not at all. The Joe Johnson move, I think, was huge. Now he has a running mate, Gerald Wallace. You have 3 guys every night.
Yeah, they gave what? Let me see. They gave Darren Williams 5 years. They gave 98.8 million, and they gave Gerard Wallace 4 years, 40 million. And none of them panned out their contract, or none of them lived up to their contract. The only one they kept was Brook Lopez for all those years. And PJ was even worse.
Came out that, he's a system guy and that Avery's offense really wasn't working for him. What's going on? I think PJ Cosmo's doing an outstanding job, but at the same time, there's just something that's missing when y'all go up against a quality team. So we got 2 superstars that used to having the ball in their hands, and now they have to learn to share that a little bit.
Exactly. You heard what Jerry Stackhouse said? You heard what Jerry Stackhouse said?
There's just something that's
Listen to what he said. And this is what now. Obviously, James Harden right now and Kyrie Irving are playing lights out. You know what I'm saying? I'm not denying that, but when you have superstars like those two, you have to know their limitations. You know what I'm saying? What they can do, what they can't do. Both of them can't play a lick of defense, but they can score at will. So watch what Jerry Stackhouse says. Like I said, man, history will follow you, Those who don't follow history are doomed to repeat it. Now, I'm not saying that my Knicks was even worse, but it wasn't worse like that. I mean, and then they freaking hired Jason Kidd, who was another failure. And look at that. Look how many draft picks. Like, that turned out to be James Young. That turned out to be Jaylen Brown. That turned out to be Jason Tatum. And I think that turned out to be Dalvin. And then they traded away all their picks just for these 1, 2, 3, 4. And then obviously they did receive they did receive a first round 2017 pick and a 2017 second round pick. But still, just none of those picks pan out, by the way. Exactly, you should have got them for cheap. Or you could have just got them at the waiver. You could have just waived and signed them. I just blame the owner. The owner don't know what he's doing at all. He's just making bad moves, and then the media are freaking hyping them up like they're the second coming of Jesus. See? This is the exact same shit that they're doing right now. There's nothing different. And Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and Jason Terry were no scrubs. Now, obviously, a lot of people said that, well, they're not Kyrie, KD. They were stars in their own right. At the time, they were considered stars. Just saying. They were all... Now, not Terry, but Terry was a formidable, coming off the bench giving you 10 points. But Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett were still stars at the time. They were no scrubs. They could still play the game. It's just that they were just beyond their prime. I mean beyond their prime. So now you have Darren Williams, Joe Johnson, Brook Lopez, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett. The last time the Nets made it to the playoffs was 8 years ago. We in 2021. 8 years ago they have made the playoffs, and that was 2014. Who did they run to? They obviously beat the Hawks in Game 7, and they ran into a red-hot Miami Heat team, which they didn't even stand no chance. So, and then they made it back to the playoffs with D'Lo, and then after that, they never made it to the playoffs since then. After they got rid of, but they didn't put D'Lo in this video for some reason.
Miami to a tough playoff series in the conference finals or so. So I think they're a legitimate conference contender. Let's put it that way. We saw it. It was clear as day. He told Tyshawn Taylor to hit him, and that's exactly what happened because they had no timeouts with 8.3 seconds left. But it's primarily because this team is losing games. Obviously, Darren Williams and Brook Lopez, your two best players, are out. Still, you surmise they would be better.
After last night, you have been warning me for a good month. These guys are coming. Jason Kidd, who looked like for a while he's going to lose his job in his first year.
Now he's a candidate.
Now he's a candidate. And he's part of that fearlessness that
Yep, like I said. Oh, did I say Hawks? I meant the Raptors. And then this is where I was right when they bumped into the Miami Heat. Didn't go too well.
But according to Jason Kidd, it's not quite that simple. Both him and Billy King have a lot to think about now in the offseason, which begins now. How did this fall apart so quickly? Jason Kidd goes to ownership.
And then they traded Jason Kidd and they hired Lionel Collins.
What about Billy King on the organizational hierarchy?
Just bad moves after bad moves, man.
Demands were rejected by ownership.
Golly, man, how can this franchise be so awful?
Jason's off to Milwaukee.
Y'all want to fucking sit here and say that they...
Pierce says he's in a better place than he was last season when he was with the Nets. He describes his experience there as...
I'm gonna make a shocking news tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm gonna make a special announcement tomorrow. Y'all stay tuned for that.
I think a lot of that pressure got to him sometimes. Not the same level of expectations as
No, it wasn't pressure. It was just that we got awful. And then obviously they kept, Kevin Garnett. But obviously Kevin Garnett wound up, being traded as well. Thaddeus Young.
Boston for a package that centered on Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett. Pierce departed this past summer, and in the wake of yesterday's trading deadline, Garnett is no longer a net either. Darren Williams is overrated because he was being rated as an annual MVP candidate. In his defense, how many times has he been hurt since he's been a net? He's one thing.
A lot, kind of like Kyrie, right? For Nets fans who don't know who Devin Harris was, Devin Harris was a pretty good point guard for the Nets. He was better than Williams, I'll say that. I mean...
Brooklyn has not only needed to win against the Magic, they needed the Pacers to lose to earn the playoff spot in the East. They got what they needed. Thanks in big part to rookie young buck Bojan Bogdanovic, they'll now go toe-to-toe with the top seed in the East, the Atlanta Hawks.
Brooklyn Nets a disappointing ending to an up-and-down season as they lose at home on their own floor. You guys were the better team all along. You just heard Lionel Hollins say that.
Get fee-free overdraft up to $100 with SpotMe. Install the Chime app today and get started.
And you know what's the messed up part about this? You know what's the messed up part about this? People are gonna come here and say, well, what does that have to do with, the Nets now? Oh, it has everything to do about it. It has everything. Like I said, those who fail to repeat history are doomed to repeat it. And that's a saying that really flows through everybody, If your track record says that you're not good, you're this, you're that, what makes you think the future is going to be even brighter? You're going to have some type of leverage or some type of consistency, Like the Nets been in the NBA since 1997. Since then, they have never sniffed an NBA championship. They came the last time they came close was 2014. Or you could say, well, they came close to, around when they had Jason Kidd and Vince Young and, Kenyon Martin, which was true, but still. And then they wound up buying out Darren Williams' contract.
The point guard shot a career low 39% last season, scoring 13 points per game in just under 7 assists.
And Darren Williams was the point guard for that team. He was pretty good when he was with the Utah Jazz. But I don't know, man.
Probably borderline playoff team. If a lot of things go right, this team probably sneaks in the bottom of the Eastern Conference. If things go wrong, your pick could possibly be number one and go to the Boston Celtics because you don't own it. So things could spiral, and it would be ugly if, in fact, the Celtics land one of those top 5 picks in the draft.
The basketball gods smiled on the Nets today. That's what Mikhail Prokhorov said the day that the trade happened. But now is where the first time is going to hurt. And
That deal is made to win a championship.
and if I was Brad Stevens, I would coach tonight like a playoff game. Every loss that you give to the Nets,
He will.
knocks them out.
Brooklyn Nets decide to get a jump start on their spring cleaning Sunday, firing head coach Lionel Hollins and reassigning general manager Billy King. The Nets own the 3rd worst record in the league and boast 0 incentive to tank, leaving owner
They
Mikhail
rehired that
Prokhorov
ass
with a double
clown.
whammy of futility.
The Nets' problems have snowballed of late, including the loss of point guard Jarrett Jack to a torn ACL, and reports of trying to trade or perhaps buy out veteran guard Joe Johnson. And only the Philadelphia 76ers are keeping the Nets out of the basement of the Eastern Conference.
They need a new vision. Mikhail Prokhorov should look in the mirror because the vision that they've had, that Billy King has been executing, has been Mikhail Prokhorov's vision. It's a team that it's going to be very difficult to start building up again because there is a deficit running years out, as you guys showed.
There was a part 2 coming, so when they drop that, I'm gonna post that. So yeah, man, just terrible, man, just terrible. You know, I mean, if that doesn't tell you the truth, I don't know what will. Like history will follow you, you know, and you know, it's just sad that the Nets have to go through all that. You know what I'm saying? Now just to be relevant again, you know. I mean, they gave up a lot of future draft picks that could have panned out to be Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I mean, like I said, man, when you have an owner that don't know what they're doing, what he's doing, it affects the team. Now, I'm not saying that he has been there all the time. You know, I'm not saying that he's been there since the merger, but when he took over or when he bought half of the team, it just didn't. It was just bad hire after bad hire, just bad trades after bad trades. You know, and he's still the owner of this team to this day. So, like, comment, subscribe. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.